All right, Oliver, every dad has that story that just cracks them up. You think about it to yourself and you just start to smile and people are like, what you thinking about, right? Because you're just remembering something that happened in your journey as a dad. So what is your dad funny story?
Man, I have so this is not gonna sound funny as I'm telling it. It's gonna sound scary, but it just kinda goes to show um, just the atmosphere of our home as especially when my son was small. There was always a lot of joking and always a lot of laughter. My son is very witty still to this day, thinks quick on his feet, um, and is, just playful around certain things, right? And so he was probably about maybe 3, maybe 3. And, there's a store that I would frequent during that time of life, called K&G. And so twofold story, right? So one, we're in K&G, I'm with him by myself, I'm rolling him around in the, cart, and we bump into Deion Sanders. This is at the time when Deion Sanders was playing for the Ravens. So we bump into Deion Sanders. He's in there with 2 other guys. They're buying suits. And so I go up to him and I say, man, I'm a fan of what you do. And he points to my son and he was like, I'm a fan of what you do, talking about being a dad.
Yeah.
Right. So that was pretty cool. We're in that same store. Here's the same store. Here's the scary part of it. Now I'm in there with my son and my wife. And Justin would play hide and go seek, right? He want to hide. We would always play hide and go seek in the house. He decides he wants to play hide and go seek in the store without telling anybody. So I turn, and kids are quick, right? You can turn for what seems like a second and turn back around and he's gone. So I'm like, that's not good. And so I'm running around the store. I'm looking. I'm like, okay, I know he couldn't have left the store. It's too big, but I go outside anyway. I do all this stuff, right? Long story short, he is in a how they have the turnstile of clothing, right?
Yeah.
He is in the middle of one of the turnstiles of clothing. And I mean, he is laughing hysterically, like, I gotcha. You couldn't find me. and we're, and we're, and we're pulling our hair out. We're pulling our hair out, and this guy is cracking up laughing like I finally beat dad at at, at hide and go seek. So I
Wow.
always remember that, one for the scary part, but one for just how kind of carefree he was, and just he was just willing to kind of still take that hide and go seek competition anywhere we go. So that's one that stands out. When you ask me about telling a story, that's immediately what came to mind. That
Oh,
in the Deion Sanders moment.
yeah, yeah. That's one of those dad stories where you're like, if I find you, I may kill you. Yeah.
Exactly.
You're
Right.
losing your mind. Your kid's having the time of their life. And you're like,
Man, I mean, he is laughing hysterically, like, I got him. He
oh,
couldn't find me.
he has no idea what he was doing to you.
No idea, right? And what's crazy is with kids, man, and I don't know how many dads experience this, but as frustrating and as scary as that was, to just see him sitting there laughing hysterically for a split second, yeah, I was mad, but then, like, who doesn't melt of seeing a 3-year-old just like just I was like, "Bro, this is funny to you, but this you'll realize later on in life, this was not a funny moment."
All of you who are just listening to this, you need to jump onto the video platform and watch Oliver doing the little dance while he's doing the
Right.
hop. Worth the view. It's worth the view. Every dad struggles with finding that balance between work, being a dad, their relationship, their marriage, all the other pieces of their life, whether it's self care or volunteer work or whatever else consumes their life. Work life balance is actually the number one question dads ask about. And if you Google it, you'll find everybody's asking the question. Every dad in the world struggles with trying to work out this age old question. Well, today we're here to help you with this age old conflict. But the problem is, there is no balance. Instead, the right question to ask is, how do you make the time you have with your kids impactful? Today, we're talking to dad, granddad, author, relationship coach, and podcaster Oliver Marcelle about how do I provide for my family while actually being present in my kids' life, right after this word from our sponsor. As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow ever. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule and yours. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dream bed sheets ever. Any size, any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings are the elusive California king. Any size, any color, just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Gentlemen, these are the sheets I sleep on every night. And personally, I just ordered 2 more sets for myself so I have a little more time between washing them because you can't beat this price on king size sheets, much less high quality king size sheets. For a limited time, when you order over $100, you're going to receive $100 in free digital gifts as well. Call 1-800-796-9775. It's the number on the screen. Or use promo code TFM. Go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use promo code TFM. That's the Fallible Man. That's my parent company. For an amazing offer on $49.98 for Giza Dream Sheets. Any size, any color. Number again is 1-800-796-9775. Promo code TFM. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Welcome to the Dad Hat Shenanigans podcast, the unfiltered truth about being a dad. Real dads, real stories, unfiltered, candid conversations on fatherhood. I'm your host, Brent Allen, and my guest today is my dear friend, Oliver Marcelle. Oliver wears a lot of hats, but I'll let him break that down for you just a little bit farther. Oliver, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Always a pleasure to get to hang out with you, man. And this is a really cool thing you're doing here, man. To dads unite.
Right? It's just crazy. No matter where you go, if you find another dad, like you can totally find a friend, even if it's
Yep.
for a short time. Like dads just love talking to other dads.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy how often we don't actually talk to each other. But we'll dive into that a little bit more. It's the opening of the show, right? And the key question on this show is you got to get the dad hat story. Explain your hat, sir.
Indeed. So I'm wearing a bucket hat. A buddy of mine owns a golf apparel company, and it's one of his hats. But I've always so the reason why I picked this is I've always wanted to go fishing. Believe it or not, fun fact, I have never been fishing. And so I was telling my wife, I was like, man, I feel like that's an activity that a father and son should do. So I got to get all my stuff together so that one day me and Justin can go fishing. Now, granted, my son is 22 years old. So like talk about a late start. This will be a late start. But I was like, I need, one of them hats that you kind of wear to do that in order to do that. And my buddy's like, man, I got the perfect hat for you. And so he gave me a couple of these.
I
Yep.
did.
So I'll be wearing this, and when we finally take that fishing trip,
I'll tell you what, you and Denise come out and visit, and Abby and I will take you fishing.
man, that'll be awesome.
I don't even like fish,
One to go fishing, two to come hang out with y'all, man. That would be awesome.
right? Yeah, like the girls were telling me, like I said, guys, Oliver is a friend. Oliver has been on my other podcast. Oliver has spoken to my conferences. We met several years ago, and it has just been joyful to have him in my life. Oliver keeps
Likewise,
me honest. But my kids were telling me, it's like, oh, wait, you're going to go record with Oliver? Tell him to come visit. Tell him we all love him. Mom said,
man.
great, make you another pie.
I love it, man. Your family is so awesome. Please give them my love as well, man. Good stuff, man.
But yeah,
That hey, I'm gonna have to take you up on that. I gotta get out there.
I took you
We
to a
gotta
river once. You didn't
gotta
tell me
go fishing.
fishing. I would have brought the fishing poles.
I know, exactly. That's true. We could have done that while we were out there. Yeah, but yeah. So that's fun fact, man. I've never been fishing, so that's on my bucket list.
That's you know, it's so funny because, like, I don't actually like fishing.
Really?
Abby likes to fish. So I
Okay.
like to go hang out with Abby, so we go fishing. I'm
Hmm.
actually missing fishing right now. We haven't been fishing this year because she turned 13 and
Okay.
she's not doing mornings as well as she once did. Those early morning fishing trips that weren't a big deal last year,
Hmm.
little rougher this year. She's not
Little tough. Yeah.
so we haven't been fishing yet. I actually found myself yesterday. I was like, man, even if Abby doesn't want to go fish, I'm going to go fish because I've been going fishing every spring and all through the summer for the last like 4 years with her.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, we haven't gone fishing. And I don't even like to fish generally,
Right.
but I have such a good time just hanging out with her. And I mean,
Hmm.
we fish. The little one doesn't go with me because Henley does not have the patience. But Abby and I will sit there and hardly say a word for like 2 hours and just fish.
Yep. And there's a lesson there too, man. So there's things as dads that we do, man, that might not have been paramount on our list, but because the kids love it and it creates a level of bonding, it's a bonding opportunity, man. We all in.
Oh, so I gotta throw a quick dad story here. I said, dads are a universal thing, right? So
Mhm.
several years ago, I took my kids on vacation, and my brother and I took them camping for the first time in the mountains of Colorado. And my
Okay.
brother is the one who introduced them to fishing because I was never,
Mm.
and he's always been a fisherman. And after that trip, Abby had such a good time, she wanted to go, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, I hate fishing. I've always hated fishing. I didn't like fishing with my dad. Like, he'd take us. I hated fishing. But I thought, you know what? Abby wants to fish. This is a cheap investment for me to spend some money. It's like we're not hardcore fishermen or anything. So
Mhm.
cheap investment for us to spend some good quality time together. So I went to Walmart and I'm looking like, I'm in the fishing aisle at Walmart and I'm like, I don't even know I know that's a fishing rod
Right.
fishing. And there was this older gentleman in the fishing aisle by himself. And I walked up and I said, "Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry to bother you. I just got back from vacation and my brother took me and my daughter fishing and she loves fishing." I said, "I hate fishing. I don't know anything about fishing, but she loved fishing. And so I need to buy stuff so I can take her fishing and have
Mhm.
time with her." And this guy had be you know, close to 70,
Mhm.
big grin. And he said, "All right, son, I'll set you up. This is what you
Nice.
need to know." And that man spent the next 40 minutes with me in the aisle at Walmart and helped me totally get everything I needed. It's like, okay, around here we got this kind of fish and blah blah blah. Like he spent 40 minutes of his time teaching me the things I needed to know about fishing from the basics so that I could take my daughter fishing.
That's awesome, man.
A universal, a total stranger.
Yep.
So
Yep. He kicked in. He kicked in the dad mode.
sorry guys, total
That's
sidetrack.
awesome.
But that was yeah. So Oliver, how many kids? Boys, girls? What we got?
Three kids, two daughters and one son, and a grandson. Yeah.
Ooh.
So, yep, three kids and a grandchild. So we're in a new stage of life, hanging out with him, and kind of reliving some of that era with him because we spent a significant time, or I say he spends significant time with us, a significant amount of time with us, and so we kind of get to see some things and kind of relive some stages in life, and so that's pretty cool.
Now I love like I keep up with you on social media, so I get to see the
Mm.
post you make about picking him up and playing with him. It's so
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, he's getting
Now,
big too, man, growing like a weed.
you've got grandkids, so you have this at a perspective that like I don't yet because mine are 10 and
Mm.
13.
Mhm.
What is the best thing about being a dad?
Man, I don't I don't know if there's one thing that I could pull out and stamp as the best, but if I have to pick one, I'd say w- watching them grasp something that you've been aiming to impart is a really great feeling. And that could be anything. I mean, that could be something as simple as, like for my grandson right now, he's writing his name, he's doing some different things. Like it could be something as simple, air quotes, as that, or as complex as just a life lesson, but just kind of watching them grasp that and implement it. And it happens in all stages of life, right? So I'm seeing it with my grandson, who's 5, but I'm also seeing it with my oldest, who is 35 and is about to graduate with her master's, and she's starting her career, and she's kind of going through this period of time with the job that she's doing, and doing the like salary negotiation and all these different like big grown up stuff, right? And just kind of watching them do that, man, is just, it's really cool to see some of the stuff that you talk about actually play out in their lives. So
I just realized I got totally sidetracked and got ahead of myself. For all the dads listening to this, tell us a little bit about who Oliver Marcelle is. Tell us who you are.
sure, man. I'm, obviously a dad. I'm a husband. I am a son. You know what I mean? And so kind of watching how my dad did some things has kind of shaped the way that I do things. At this season in my life, I work with couples. I work with men, speaker, author, and coach in the relationship building space and the men's enrichment space. And so, very passionate about seeing men win and seeing couples win. And so that's the hat that I wear currently in this season of my life. My wife and I are enjoying what that's bringing to our lives, enjoying what grandparenting is bringing to our lives as well. And so, those are a few of the hats that I wear.
I love that you phrased it that way, and not just because it's the name of the show, but I mean that is the heart of the show, right? Is we wear so many different hats throughout the seasons of our lives, and especially as a father, all the things you learn and embrace, all the different roles you play, uh,
Mhm.
and that's there. There is so much depth to fatherhood and all the roles you will play as a dad that that's the whole point behind the show, and I hope people get that. I talk about hats metaphorically, even if I wear a big stupid red hat that my daughters love, my wife's not real sure about. But like, Dad, you need to wear that everywhere. I was like, I'm pro- but
Right.
but there is so much so Oliver and I had to have a conversation before the show started because
Mhm.
there is just so much to talk about in the space of being a dad.
Yeah.
And so instead of coming with a totally preset idea, guys, we're doing this one totally offhand. We actually Googled, or I Googled right before the show, what is the number one question dads have?
Mhm.
Because Oliver is somebody I talk to and I look up to. I actually got asked the other day on my other podcast, is like, well, who do you look up to on, when it comes to this? Is like continual learning. I was doing a guest interview on someone else's show, and Oliver and Denise's channel is one of the places I go to take care of my relationship because they've always got amazing stuff I'm learning from them. But Oliver is also one of those friends that I call and like we kick ideas around.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to make sure that we gave you guys something really great in this episode. So today we're going to talk about balancing your role as provider or the person who takes
Mm.
care of your family with actually being present in the lives of your kids, particularly because
Yeah.
that is the number one, according to Google and ChatGPT. I looked this up on a couple different platforms. Like that is like the most universal questions, especially young dads have, or dads who are in those
Mm.
early ages.
Mhm.
So we're gonna dive into that, and we may not come up with the perfect answer for your situation, but we're certainly going to give it our best.
Indeed.
So, Oliver, you're at a farther stage in life than I am with having a
Mhm.
grandchild now, and so you've got adult kids, and I know like I struggle with this myself, right? I'm always trying to balance. Like, if you ask my kids, I'm always working, and as a business
Mhm.
owner, you know,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
One of the things big differences, I know a lot of guys who work 9 to 5 jobs, like, everyday jobs, and there's nothing wrong with being a guy who works for another company, right? Spent a lot of years doing it, and
Mhm.
I was always pretty busy. I worked a lot of long days, I worked a lot of overtime, but becoming a business owner, I work pretty much 7 days a week. Um,
Right.
I rarely ever take time off, and if you ask my kids, I'm always working. So,
Mhm.
gain some years on this, farther than I have with your kids as adults now, and actually have got to interface with them as adults. How did you try and balance that?
So I'm kind of answering this in hindsight. So some of this is what I did mixed with what I wish I did. So just to give that give that level of disclaimer beforehand. But like you, was in the corporate space, worked a ton of hours in the corporate space, and what I tried to do was really have these pockets of time that were non-negotiable. So even if Sunday afternoon was just the only day or time that I knew I was going to be available to do something, I tried not to put anything else in that time. So that way I could say, say one of them would come to me and say, "Hey, can we do XYZ today?" And it's Tuesday. Excuse me. And I'm like, "Well, no, I can't do that today, but let's do it on Sunday afternoon." I knew that they could at least have something to look forward to. And I didn't want to break that. Like I didn't want Sunday afternoon to come and be like, "Oh, sorry, we can't do it." So that's something that I really tried to do. Something I wish I did was have more of those non-negotiable pockets. Because and it's tough, man. I heard somebody talking not too long ago saying how in the beginning of your journey as a parent, there are actually going to be these sacrificial moments where you are trading time with them for time to provide for them. And there was a lot of kind of back and forth around how people felt about that, right? Because th- at- are wearing the hat where like you can't just go fishing with them 12 hours a day because then when it's time for dinner, you won't have nothing to feed them, right? So it's that balance. But having said that, what I wish I had was more of those pockets, which I think being an entrepreneur has given me, right? So now I do have these pockets where I can say, okay, let me see if I have anything happening Tuesday afternoon. And if I don't, I can probably, make this happen. So for me, that's part of what I did. And there's some things I really wish I had done more of, but I tried to. And again, we talked about this before we started recording. I have been notoriously uh, hard on myself, right? Maybe to a fault as it relates to evaluating my successes. I'm doing that in air quotes as a dad. But one of the things that I really did try to do was have these non-negotiable times. And so I would say to anybody who's trying to establish some level of balance, and maybe I changed that word from balance to harmony, because balance is tough, right? Balance for some people's minds denotes some level of evenness. And I don't know that you achieve I don't know if you achieve that, right? So, but harmony in the sense of the things that are important to you are getting the right level of energy behind how you address them, right? So if your marriage is important, if your kids are important, if your career is important, if church is important, like all of those things were playing out at the same time in my life, right? And so church musician, so I was out on the weekends, and so even the Sunday thing, I had to really be intentional because for the beginning part of Sundays, I'd probably be playing somewhere. So I really had to make sure that if I said, okay, Sunday afternoon, we're going to do XYZ, I had to make sure that I was getting out of that space and time. I was getting home in time. I was doing certain things, right? And so it kind of helped me accountable to a certain degree. But I would say to anybody who's trying to do that and find that harmony, create space with intention. How about that?
I think I have to. I like that you address that the word balance isn't necessarily the best word for that. And I mean, people can argue semantics all they want. It's like
Right.
balance, harmony, right? But like in my life, that's one of the things I have tried because I don't know there is balance. If you do anything well, there's very rarely ever a balance,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you talk to like some of the biggest entrepreneurs in the world, names that are household names like Elon Musk, whether you like him or not, or Alex Ramosi, they'll tell you that balance isn't a legitimate thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're people who are really successful at something, there's not balance. There's intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
And I've
Yeah.
talked to some other entrepreneurs who are business owners as well over the years, as well as people who don't own businesses, right, and work normal 9 to 5 jobs. Or let's be honest, there aren't a lot of 9 to 5. It's more like 6 to 4 or six to
Yep.
three. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm 45 years old. I have never started work at 9 a.m. in my life. I don't. It's not like a banker's hours, or I don't know where that comes from. I've been
Mm-hmm.
starting my day like having to be at wherever I work at 6 a.m. since I was 16.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
I've never had a job where I started later than 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. unless I was working like a swing shift or a graveyard shift.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that is one of the common things I see with a lot of the men I've talked to about this is balance is a misnomer as much as intentionality in the time you do have.
Yep.
So, like, one of the things I've been doing for years with my daughters is we have daddy daughter night every week, like clockwork. And we've had to change it the night of the week a couple times now, dealing
Mm-hmm.
with like as my daughters are getting older, they have things they go to, like youth group on Wednesday nights now because they're old enough to be in that,
Mm-hmm.
and basketball practice, right? Things that
Mm-hmm.
they didn't used to have. So we've had to move that night a couple times. But one night a week, when the clock hits 4, I turn off everything
Mm-hmm.
until they go to bed. There is nothing else.
Right.
Like, I don't help cook dinner unless
Mm-hmm.
we're doing something like those are usually junk food nights. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
throw some, taquitos or crispitos, whatever you want to call them, into the oven, the air fryer or something. That's about as far as like actual, like I don't help around the I don't help my wife do anything. My wife's not
Mm-hmm.
even invited. Like if her and my mom want to hang out and watch a movie with us,
Mm-hmm.
they can, but the girls are picking the movie, whether they like it or not. It's like we're not
Right.
negotiating on who likes what. Like it's their night.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and my mom will go watch their shows, or they'll leave and go to dinner or something half the time because that's us. And I am like vicious almost. Like I have
Go ahead.
run off before. It's like, no, this is my time, period.
Wow. Yeah.
Answer
And
my
that's what
phone,
intention looks like.
right? I don't answer my phone unless it's an emergency. I don't scroll on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I it is us. And that might look like playing Xbox for a little while and then watch a movie. That might look like going and getting ice cream or going and doing something, right? But those about 4.5, 5 hours, that's
Mm-hmm.
our time, period. Nothing else happens there. Now, I'd like to do it. For a while, I was really good. Like Abby and I would go fishing every week. At least one
Mm-hmm.
time a week, we'd get up early in the morning, and that's what I did on that morning. And we might be out for 3 hours or 4 hours. Uh, now I try to either do that or like we go like hiking.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to get more of those, like you said, a little more. But
Yeah.
it's about being intentional with the time you have,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think as a dad trying to take care of your family, I don't know that you get all the time, right? That there is a balance. You
Yeah.
have to work a set amount of hours to make enough money, especially these days.
Yeah.
It's
You're right.
so much harder these days to make
Yeah.
enough money to make a living, much less make a good living.
Right.
And so I know there's a lot of guys out there who are working a lot of extra hours right now. I know a lot of guys who are like 40-hour week. What's that?
Exactly. Yeah. It's
I
not
had a
enough.
3 year t I had a 3-year time period where I worked 60-hour weeks for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, I think it's about intentionality with the time you have, but I think setting
Mm,
aside time
yeah.
where
And I think too, I think along with the intention, because you for anybody who has a question about what intention looks like, you just gave a phenomenal example. Like that's what intention looks like. That's what non-negotiable looks like, right? With what you're doing with the girls. And um I think too, supplementing that with talking to them. And this is where I don't think I did enough of when they were growing up is there are going to be moments where you have this intentional time, and then there are going to be moments where you know your time is going to be spent elsewhere, but they need to know that their level of importance um is not represented by the time that you're away, right? So yes, I got to be down here to do this 6-hour project, which means I'm not going to be able to do XYZ, but that doesn't mean that you're not still as important to me. And we'll do this other thing. You know what I mean? Like just having that, because sometimes you have the intentional time, but then let's say the intentional time is only one night a week and the other 6 nights of the week, like there is no interaction at all.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I'm not knocking anybody, but I'm just saying that's sometimes how it happens because you're just so busy that you're just running and gunning, and that you pray that the anticipation of that next night next week will be enough to keep them, and sometimes it might not be, right? So those moments where you taking a break to get coffee, or those moments where uh you're coming out of a meeting, right? And you can call them FaceTime them real quick for 2 seconds on the way to your next meeting. Like those little things that you can kind of put in place. I don't think I did that enough when they were small.
I didn't know that all those options were available when
Well,
you
yeah, FaceTime was an option. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, let me think back. So, but the things that I did have access to, I don't think I really did that as much as I probably could have.
and it's so for all the dads out there listening, right? We have different ages of dads at different stages listening. And one of the interesting things is there is a generational change that is happening as we have redefined being a dad in the modern era because the pressure to be intentionally involved with
Mhm.
your children is more now. And I think this is a good change. I think this is a good change. Let me throw that out there before people freak out. But I think there is from a generational standpoint, right? I was very blessed. My dad was very involved in my life. He was very active. But I also know that that was the exception. I'm a Gen Xer,
Mhm.
and that was an exception that my father was that involved in my life and that present in my life all the time. And it had a lot to do with who he is and what he did, so he could actually manage the schedule a little more that way. But right, the boomer generation, my parents' generation, their parents, there wasn't an expectation that
Right.
your dad
Right.
your dad went to work and you knew he loved you because he went to work and put
Yep.
a roof over your head and shoes on your feet.
Yep.
Right? That was the expectation level.
Hmm.
And that's changed drastically. Like I said, I think for the better, but that has changed drastically. You wouldn't have had this conversation with the boomer generation because
Hmm.
that's not the example they had,
Right.
right? Those
And
of us,
that's me too.
right,
That's
born the boomer generation, those of us in Gen X, right?
hmm
There were a bunch of latchkey kids in our generations. That's why people like get a kick out of our generation because we were almost feral. Our parents sent us out when the sun came up, and we came back when the lights came on,
hmm
and we could cook for ourselves by the time like I think we baby like I've been guilty of babying my kids some in that aspect. By the time
hmm
13, I could cook like 6-course meals,
right.
but I also like to cook. So you look at that generational effect. Now we're expecting parents to be and dads to be much more involved at a
Mhm.
time when it costs a lot more
Right.
to survive.
Right.
So,
That's
you
interesting too,
know,
man. That poses a
right, like
it,
Facebook and stuff like that.
mhm. It poses an interesting question too, right? Because it's almost like it's almost like setting yourself up for some level of distress, right? Because I think for me too, at watching my dad, a lot of what I took as okay, this is your responsibility, I got from watching him, right? And my dad worked an insane amount of hours per week. So there were periods of our lives growing up where he would work one job and go immediately from that job to another one.
Mhm,
And then so now the only thing that he could do when he got home was go to eat and go to sleep to do it all over again because there's just not enough hours in a day to do what he was doing, right? So, and if I were to look back, I don't know, could I pull out instances where I'm like, man, I wish he had done this, that, and the third? Maybe I guess I could, but just like what you said, right? There wasn't that level of expectation wasn't there. Like, okay, a good guy goes out, works,
mhm.
and he's doing a whole lot of that. You know what I mean? So he's got to be a great guy, right? So I wonder if dads are feeling now that pressure to be great guy from a external standpoint, but still be great guy from an internal standpoint as well, putting in the same amount of time and not necessarily knowing where to get that time from.
And I think
That's a
that's
tough one.
big struggles that we're dealing with in this conversation, right? Is
Yeah.
we still got a lot of guys like my wife's dad was that guy. He up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and gone. And he
Mm,
got like 8:30 and heated up some dinner, had a small bowl of ice cream, watched the news for a few minutes, and went to bed.
mhm,
And when he wasn't working that job, right, that was his main. He was doing side jobs on the weekend, clearing land and stuff like that, running heavy equipment, uh,
mhm,
cutting timber, stuff like that. And that was 7 days a week. Like I had never seen somebody work like that until I moved up here to marry my wife years ago. And so now, yeah, now we're asking dads like, okay, go work, which means you're working
mhm,
a lot of hours these days because the majority of men are still a guy making uh, social media has skewed this for people. A
mhm.
guy making over $70,000 a year by himself, it's still a rarity. Like the majority of jobs don't pay that
Yep, that's true.
unless you have a really white collar position, like you put in the time at school, and there's no shade either direction. But the majority of jobs, most guys make between $60,000 and $70,000 a year by themselves max. And
Mhm,
usually spouses are working too, right? And we're saying go work, get all the hours, make all the money, help take care of your family. But I need to go to everything your child does and spend quality time with them and have all these discussions. And
mhm.
they're stressing out these days, right? We've got so many men spinning with like emotional, like depression. Depression and anxiety is at an all-time high for men. I think this is part of the driver.
I agree. I agree. And it's not. And listen, we're not by any means giving anybody an out to not be involved. But I do believe that sometimes we place the value when we're evaluating the value of the involvement, we're using the wrong metric to evaluate it. We're using a quantity metric as opposed to a quality and what you talked about intention metric, right? Because if you think about it, if you have um, even when we're talking about anything, any type of relationship, marital relationship, uh, parenting relationship, you can fill the time with a bunch of stuff that isn't quality. and still not get the same result as doing two things with intention and with earnest and honest energy. Doing those two things can sometimes create a greater effect and build a bigger bond than you just throwing things and throwing money and showing up, but you stealing. It's one thing to show up at the game, but if you're at the game and you're, doing emails the whole time, like, you know what I mean? Like that. I think we're sometimes looking at the wrong things in terms of the metric around involvement.
I was trying to explain this. I was at a friend's house the other night, and we were talking to his 17-year-old daughter, and I had to pause him at one point. I was like, "Okay, what you don't understand is this: the way men show you that they care is they work to make it possible for you to do.
Mhm.
That is the reason your dad works 60, 70-hour weeks is to make sure that y'all have the money so that you can do all these many things you're involved in. That's the way he says I love you."
Mhm.
And like this 17-year-old girl, like she was almost in tears, like
Wow.
because she had never put this idea together that the reason her dad works so many hours, and he works a lot of hours.
Mm.
He works from home, so he still gets to interact with the family some,
Mhm.
offices in the house, but he still works 60, 70 hours a week, no problem.
Mm.
And measure that with juggle with trying to raise four kids, right? And he's trying to help out around the house, um, and so she sees it as he still works a lot. But it's like
Yeah.
this is him screaming, "I love you." You say,
Mm.
"I need a new pair of shoes for this new role I landed in this play," and he goes, "That's 3 hours," right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And like
Yeah.
it just never occurred to her. But I think you're onto something with that intentionality, because 5 minutes of intentional time,
Mhm.
like intentional, focused time, has so much more impact than I tell the story about when my girls were younger. I was sitting on the couch watching a movie with the girls, and I was scrolling through my mail,
Mhm.
and my daughter reaches over and puts her hand on my hand and pushes the phone down.
Mm.
She was like 7. I was like, "What, baby?" She's like, "You said you were going to watch the movie." I said, "I am watching the movie, honey. We've seen this like 5 times already." Like,
Mhm.
"You said you'd watch the movie."
Mm.
And I tried not to cry. I said, "Baby, do I need to put my phone down?" She's like, "Yeah." And I clicked it off,
Wow.
set it down. And that was the beginning of those intentional nights with my kids right there.
Mhm.
I got it. It was clear. Like when I'm with her, I need to be with her.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we need to talk about setting some boundaries. But before that, because, I don't like being serious too long because I look like a dick.
Yeah, right.
What
Say it
best,
again. Best dad joke.
best dad?
Um, I so I heard one the other day. I ran across a couple the other day, ironically. But one of them was I thought this was really funny. Uh it's what are your strongest days of the week,
Hmm.
right? And the answer is Saturdays and Sundays because the rest of them are just weekdays.
I
I was
like.
like, that's a great dad joke. Rest of them are just weekdays.
So Abby actually bought a book of dad jokes with her own money. Like her Christmas, she bought a book of dad jokes a while back.
Mhm.
Told her we are going to start doing the show. She went and got me her book of dad jokes, so I had them at hand just in case
Wow. Nice.
we needed them for the show. I thought that was really sweet.
Nice. Good stuff.
Sorry, guys, I had to get the dad joke in because it wouldn't be a dad show if we didn't have a dad joke every so often.
Gotta have one. Gotta have it's gotta be a staple.
So as we talk about balancing, like I said, I don't think there's such thing as a work life or a providing family time balance.
Mhm.
We've already talked about intentionality some, and setting aside specific time in your schedule. My daughters like the fact that they can see it on my calendar. Like it's literally
Mm,
on the calendar.
that's
There,
cool.
I use block scheduling, so I literally have blocks on my calendar.
Mhm,
Whatever's on the calendar, that's what I'm doing. That's where I'm at entirely. Uh,
mhm,
and so my daughters can see it. My calendar, I have one of the smart devices in my office, and they can come in and see my schedule, and they can see like that time is blocked. Or if they have something that I've agreed to do, that time is blocked on my calendar. They love that visual, um, which I highly encourage you guys to do if you're exploring this possibility of how to do that. But let's talk about boundaries when it comes to trying to make this balance, right? Because that is critical to that intentionality. Like I said, I've growled at my wife over is like, this is my time out. They're mine.
mhm.
Go away. Uh, which, guys, if you haven't been very, very long, you better be careful on that one.
Right.
My wife and I have acquired a few years now, so she's a lot more forgiving when I do things like that. But, how can you set boundaries around making sure that you have that time? I'll tell you one of the first ones is spend less time on the phone. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one thing that I was man just today, right? Not too long before we got on this recording, I was actually watching a video of someone who was saying that um, there's a statistic that says that we touch our mobile devices more than we touch the people in our lives, whether it's our spouse, kids, whatever. And I was like, man, that is a sobering statistic. Like, so yeah, and as it relates to boundaries, yeah, you have to now decide now what are the things that are not going to be a part of that space, right? And so and it may be changing the space altogether, right? So great example. I'm sitting here in my home office right now. Maybe this is not the best place to be like, hey, we're going to spend some quality time because things are lighting up and stuff is popping on the screen and messages are, you know what I'm saying, are popping up. Maybe this is not the best place because I know I may get distracted even if I don't want to be distracted, right? And so now what is the place that you're going to be, and can you find a place that has the least amount of distractions? Can you set the phone aside or put it in another room or turn it off or whatever you need to do? Can you let the folks around you know that, hey, listen, this I'm not available at this time, or not even answering, right? Or if you have to put your devices on do not disturb with a I think you can do these like pop-up answers that just happen when people, text you and that kind of thing. So, yeah, setting those kinds of boundaries, man, I think is really important. And starting with knowing the things that are the easiest to get to you and putting parameters in place to ensure that they don't.
you want to hear a really gross number? Because I actually was looking at this stat just the other day.
Okay.
The average person touches their cell phone between 46 on the low end to 72 times an hour.
I'm only cringing because I
Right.
think I'm guilty of that.
Right. The 46 on the low end was like, wait, that's that's the low end number. Uh,
Man.
a little, yeah. That's how connected we are, and I think right, like my friend has the do not disturb setting on automatically because his phone interfaces with his car. So like
Mm,
when he's in
mhm,
the car, he plugs it in and it says, he's driving right now, whatever.
mhm.
Um, but I know you can have like at least I have an Apple, so I know you can have uh time frames in there that are like on do not disturb or night
Yep.
mode,
Mhm.
right? So I think that's a possibility. Having it on there. So I'm a calendar guy. I live by my calendar. Like I said, I block
Mm,
out. If it's on my calendar, that's where I'm at and what I'm doing. I'm
mhm,
during that time frame, nothing else. If it's not, nope, nope, we're not doing that. If I'm on date night with my wife, I'm on date night with my wife. I'm not
mhm,
doing anything else. I think understanding. because we have a real problem with distraction uh,
Hmm.
in all of our relationships, not just as a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, husband wife relationship, parent relationship. In all of our relationships, we have a real problem with distraction these days. We have been programmed to have this super short attention span,
Hmm.
and it's disrespectful to the people we care about, especially like our kids.
Yeah.
Our kids are already sharing you with your spouse. Our kids are already sharing you with your work. Our kids
Hmm.
are already sharing you with everything else you do. So I think we can claw back some of that time, right? We can set some hard boundaries on what is. I know in blocking time, you talked about it, right? This is what is essential. This is what's critical,
Hmm.
right? We prioritize those, what the phrase used, non-negotiables,
Hmm.
right? So I think
Yeah.
if we can start putting non-negotiables on there and make our time with our kids if you got 30 minutes with your kids
Mm.
every day, you would be leaps about and bounds ahead of 90% of
A
dads,
lot of people. Yeah.
right? I saw the statistic the other day. Like the average dad spends less than an hour a week with his kids, actually,
Mm.
and that just horrified me. Like as somebody who I have my this night of the week we're doing this. I have I'm going fishing with Abby on this day, or we're going hiking on this morning, right? I the first thing I dump is everything else so I can go
Hmm.
kids on,
Hmm.
right? And I have the set. This is non-negotiable to make sure. But then I'm dumping everything else. It's like, hmm, you can do this or you can do this. I'm like, I'm going with the kids. I'm gonna go
Right.
hang out with my kids. The
Yeah.
other day I was in the middle of a workout in my backyard, and my youngest was outside. Abby was with Sarah. My wife drives a bus for the school system, and the girls can go with her. Not all the time, but every now and then. So Abby
Hmm.
had gone with her and was studying on the front seat of the bus while my wife was picking up kids. So my youngest was home. So I was like, hey, come outside. Because Henley's she either wants to watch TV or read. And so I was like,
Okay.
outside, get some fresh air. You can work out with me. She's like, I'll hang out outside. She's out there reading the book, sitting on a swing, and she got pooped on by a bird. That really upset her.
Mm.
First experience with that one. Uh,
Mm.
but I was like, come on, baby. It's a beautiful day out here. I was like, you don't want to work out. Okay, well, what do you want to do? You want to go for a walk or something? It's like, yeah. I went on a walk with mom earlier, but I wanted to go farther. I said, great. So I stopped my workout, and
Hmm.
first workout I've gotten in weeks. Stopped my workout, and we went for a mile and a half walk because my daughter said, yes, let's go do this together.
Hmm.
Right. I will opt for that every time. So, dads, maybe you start looking at setting boundaries. Is whatever's on your phone really where you want to put focus? Is that television show? I know a lot of families spend a lot of time watching TV at night.
Hmm.
Go for a walk with your kids, man. 30 minutes of walking with your kids with no distractions is worth his weight in gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, start looking at what you can do. And I know that's going to be different for every parent, right? What
Hmm.
you're
Yep.
like,
Yep. I agree with that, man. And I love you what you're describing too is something that I feel like dads can do to help get them established, right? Start setting patterns, right? So to beat that statistic about spending such little time, right? Start doing things that become routine, right? So you may have the movie night, you may have the walk night, you have the fishing moment, you have the ice cream moment, whatever it is, right? So that you now have these things that become established patterns. And so they almost just become a part of the fabric and the framework of how you operate as a unit. And that can help.
can I ask you in hindsight? Because you said, some things you wish you had done as a dad,
Mhm. Mhm.
as a grandfather with grown kids, looking back in hindsight, what are your biggest regrets?
Man, you're gonna have to do a part 2 of this show for me to talk about all of them. Um, one main one is, I don't feel like I was vocal enough, and I was, I forgot I was listening to something the other day, and they were talking about just, like, the time spent, like, talking, right? Like, as a relationship coach now, I'm huge on communication, right?
Mhm.
And there's some things now that I incorporate into the coaching space that I wish, you know, 18 years ago, that I was actually doing consistently. And that's one of them, just being more vocal. And that could simply look like, hey, I see you studying over there, man. Good job. Like, man, keep it up. Keep up the hard work. I see you really putting in some time there. Man, I'm proud of you. Like that kind of stuff, you know, just more of that. I didn't do a lot of that. And what's crazy is I told my wife I thought it, but I don't know that it came out of my mouth. And that's something I would have definitely done more.
I know something that I put a value on, guys, that I recommend you all trying, right? As we try to find this balance because you're going to work a lot of hours. And I don't know that we've given you great answers other than
Mhm.
you have to be more intentional on just forcing the quality of the time you do have and optimizing it. I've got to like, I don't know if you've seen this. Elon Musk has caught some flack because one of his kids has been with him at like the White House
Mhm.
and some of the other stuff, right? And it's like, I take my kids with me anywhere I can because I want them to experience life with me. How are they going to learn otherwise, right? So
Yeah.
I'm all for it. It's like I think it's great that Elon Musk has a kid in the White House. Yes, please do that, right? I think we ought to
Yeah.
have more take your kid to work days.
I think it's great exposure to be able to do that, to be able to have your kids hang out with you when you're doing certain things. And that kind of goes in line with what I think would be my last piece of advice maybe is like it doesn't have to be anything big, man. That's something that I learned as well, as I kind of grew up, so to speak. Like I would always think, man, I gotta like, and I'm using this metaphorically, but like every interaction has to be Disneyland, and it really, really doesn't. Like you would be really surprised how phenomenal a time your kid would have by just taking 2 Matchbox cars and, like, sliding them across the kitchen for 10 minutes. And I'm using that because that's a real example. Like, I've done that now with my grandson. Like, he'll bring these small dinosaurs to me, and we'll just play, like, we own Jurassic Park on the couch with 2 dinosaurs for, like, 10 minutes, and it's like Disney World to him, you know what I mean? It really kinda made me think, man, we don't have to put a whole lot into this, right? It has to be intentional and it has to be genuine.
I think one of the things, last piece of advice from me, guys, on this one is one of the things I do with my kids is I try to make sure that not a single day goes by where I don't intentionally make physical contact. That might be a hug, that might be reaching over and holding my daughter's hand while we're watching something. I intentionally physically connect with them and tell them I love them at least once a day in close proximity, like not across the house, like
Mhm.
close proximity. A lot of times is when they first get up in the morning because my kids are still in that age where they want to cuddle a little bit when they wake up. I will wrap my arms around them and tell them I love them and call them beautiful and amazing and make sure that I'm having that intentional physical contact combined with that verbal affirmation and that affection uh, with saying I love you, right? Just being intentional. It's something I learned with my dad. I don't
Mhm.
think necessarily framed it that way out loud, but he was very intentional about, putting his hand on my shoulder
Mhm.
or giving me a hug or, later years when I was too cool, giving me the high five or whatever, right?
Mhm.
But that is something I've tried to do with my kids because that intentional connection, we're less connected than we've ever been.
That's
At
very true.
where we have more options than ever, we're actually less connected than we've ever been. So that intentional physical contact and close proximity is very emotional, is very intimate, and it's something that I try and do because even if nothing else, right? If I have to leave for the next week on something, before I leave, they know I love them, and I know, God forbid something happened, they know I love them.
Mhm.
I walk out the door, or as their day is getting started, or as their day is ending, I still pray with my kids and do songs and prayers before they go to bed every single night, even though the oldest one is 13.
Mhm.
So those intentional moments is not long, but it's intentional
Right.
and it communicates volumes to your kid.
Mhm. That's it. That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. That's a wonderful hat for a dad to wear.
Oliver, if
And
some,
it's rewarding. It's rewarding, right? You know what I'm saying? You're building a bond with your kids that is going to last a lifetime. And who doesn't want that?
Oliver, if somebody wants to connect with you, and guys, if you are looking for incredible insights on your romantic relationship with your spouse or your partner or whatever, you need to check out Oliver's stuff. Like his YouTube channel is awesome. Like I love to watch you guys. Niece, there's
I
so
appreciate you.
I always feel bad because I don't get to watch more of your live streams, and I want to. I see them pop up. I'm like, oh, but if you if people want to connect with you, where's the best place to connect with you?
Best place is social media, in particular YouTube, but it's Denali, Den. So my wife's name is Denise. So the easy way to remember it is the first three letters of her name, first three letters of my name, Oliver. So Denoli LLC. That's the handle everywhere. So um, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest. You can catch up with us there, or you can visit the website, which is Denali, DENOLI.org.
And guys, they're way better at social media than I am. So when he says catch up with them on social media, like he actually means it, whereas mine is like, yeah, I'm bad at social media. I, you
Yeah,
guys' social media game is so much better than mine.
man, listen, it's tough to keep up with, man. Unless you got somebody on team who's doing it for you, and that's their dedicated responsibility. It can be a lot,
Oliver, most important takeaway you want to tell dads this more today?
man. Just keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Um, I was watching this interview with the one of the Wayans brothers. I think it was Marlon Wayans, and the interviewer was asking, man, what's the most impactful thing that your dad did? And he was like, man, the greatest thing our dad did was come home. He was there, just show up, continue to show up, continue to uh, just make your presence felt and known and be consistent. Just continue to show up.
Gentlemen, thanks for joining us today on the Dad Hat Shenanigans podcast, a community of dads just navigating life challenges together. Until next time, laugh, learn, and live the dad life.